Welcome to week 8, lesson 2, where we're going to jump into solving inequalities. In the last lesson, we graphed inequalities. Now we're going to actually solve them. And we're going to solve them by applying the special rule when multiplying or dividing by a negative number. We've talked about already how inequalities are not balanced on both sides of the sign, whereas in equations they were. With equations, we had special rules of equality where we could add, subtract, multiply, and divide both sides of the equation by the same number, and it would remain equal. Does that apply with inequalities? So we're going to take a look. So the properties of inequalities. The addition property, does it work? 4 is less than 6. We know that that's a true statement. If I add something to both sides, does it remain true? So let's just add 2 to both sides. Well, 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. That is still true. Okay, let's look at subtraction. 4 is less than 6. If I subtract 2 from both sides, I get 2 is less than 4. Also true. What about multiplication? So 4 is less than 6. What if I multiply both sides by 2? Well, 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. Still a true statement. However, what if we multiplied by negative 2? Let's see what happens. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Is negative 8 less than negative 12? No, it is not. Negative 8 is actually bigger than negative 12. And that leads us to our first big idea for this lesson. When you multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the sign to make it a true statement. Let's take a look at division. Okay. And before we move on to division, let's recap what I did. If I multiply by a positive number, the sign does not flip. However, if I multiply by a negative number, that's what flips the sign. Division, if I divide by 2 on both sides, I get 2 is less than 3. Still true. What if I divide by negative 2? Then I get negative 2 is less than negative 3, which is not true. So we got to flip the sign. So multiplying and dividing by a negative number will flip our sign. So let's look at an example. This looks a lot like the equations that we've solved, except instead of an equal sign, we've got an inequality sign. You treat them almost the same way. I want to move that 6 by subtracting 6 from both sides, leaving me 8 on the left, less than negative 2y. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. But there it is. We divided by a negative number. What does that mean? We need to flip the sign. So I do that. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. The negative 2's cancel, and I'm left with y on the right. Now I need to graph and show my solutions. We have an open circle at negative 4. This is saying negative 4 is bigger than all my y values. So what numbers could I put in for y to make this true? Well, negative 4 is bigger than negative 5. It's also bigger than negative 6. I'm shading all the numbers to the left of negative 4. And there we go. Let's do another one. Subtract 10 from both sides. Negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12. Divide by negative 3. There it is. I divide by a negative. That flips the sign. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 is positive 4. It does not matter that my answer is positive. I still need to flip the sign because it's what I've divided by. All right, so if I graph this, I want all the numbers that are less than or equal to 4. Well, 4 is equal to, so I'm going to include that. So close in the circle, and all the numbers less would be to the left. What about a word problem? At Luigi's Pizzeria, 2 large pizzas plus $6 for drinks is less than $30. What are the possible prices for large pizzas? Well, I'm going to start by looking at big picture, $30. We know that our full order is less than $30. So less than shown shading to the left. But what's going into that $30? Well, we want to know what possible prices are for large pizzas. So X, we're going to set equal to the cost of a large pizza. Well, if I have 2 pizzas, right, that's what it said, I had 2 large pizzas plus drinks, we know that that's less than the $30. Well, let's plug in what we know. 2 pizzas, we don't know that, so that's 2x. The drinks we know is $6 plus 6. We know that that whole cost is going to be less than 30. Subtract 6, divide by 2. I get x is less than 12. No need to flip the sign because I didn't divide by a negative. X is less than 12. That means the cost of a large pizza is less than $12. So open circle at 12. All the possible costs of a large pizza are less than $12. So is $15.99 a possible price? No, it's over here. That's bigger than $12. If it was the cost of a large pizza, we would be spending more than $30. Is $11.99 a possible price? It's not 12, it's just under 12. So yes, it is. Okay, so hopefully that helped. And that concludes week 8, lesson 2.